Welcome to Track Us Down,
Shockers Edition.
If you're just finding us, I'm Monique.
And I'm Doug. Our channel is all about downshifting to an early retirement, living a healthy lifestyle, and enjoying all the freedom that comes with it.
After over 25 years of working hard and raising our family, we retired from our careers, we sold everything, and we began our second half of life. We make our base here on the beautiful island of Madeira. In our last video, we shared a tour of what we lovingly call Villa Dos, the property that we decided to purchase here in Madeira. We said in our next video we would be sharing the costs, all the costs associated with the purchase of this property. Before we do that though, we would like to share with you 5 shockers that we had when we were purchasing a property here. From looking for a property to viewing property to the actual purchase, there were things that were really different for us that shocked us, and we want to share those with you. So stay tuned to the end of the video and we will share not only our purchase price for the property, but all the additional costs that there are so that it can give you a better idea if this is something that maybe you are considering doing.
So the first thing that shocked us during our process here of finding a home on Madeira and making Madeira our base was the actual process of finding a suitable home, something that we loved and that we're willing to spend our hard-earned retirement money on. As we mentioned in previous videos, it's not the same as North America. There is no MLS. It's a lot of work that you have to put into it yourself. It would be nice if you had an agent here or 2 working for you, and you can still do that. But ultimately, if you're gonna be investing your money here and spending your hard-earned retirement money, it's really important that you get involved as much as you can yourself. And that means boots on the ground. You might be able to get a good deal or get ahead of the market as far as the other people beating down the door to buy that place. There's just a lot of work that you have to do yourself. There is no MLS here. As well, once you find a property that you like and you want to go look at it, you may be told that, well, it's still technically available. It's not really, it's in negotiations. So what that means is there is somebody, an interested party looking at it, and they like it and they're gonna make an offer on it. So they're in negotiations with the seller. Back in North America, the way we sold our home, which is I think pretty standard, we had about 4 or 5 days of multiple viewings, and you have the end of that week, offers are accepted. Here, if it goes live on a Monday and somebody sees it on the internet and they go look at it and they say, yeah, we like it, you start negotiating with the owner right there, and somebody coming along that afternoon or the next day, they're gonna be told that it's under negotiation. So they have to wait for the whole deal fell through and then they get their shot, but otherwise they're just gonna be disappointed because it's gonna take a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you're gonna find out that it did in fact sell. So here, you can tie something up in negotiations as soon as you decide to enter those negotiations. And that shocked us.
Number 2, what shocked us purchasing a property here in Madeira was the actual viewing of properties. So we went to see several different properties, and the one thing that stood out when we went to all of them was waiting. So we would get to the property with our agent and we'd be ready to go in, and we would be told that we need to wait for the seller to show up. So back in North America, this is something that we have no experience with. We've never met the seller when we're buying a property, and when we've sold properties, we've never met potential buyers. So we wait at the properties, the seller shows up, has the key, opens the door and basically tours us around and tries to sell the property to us. That was a really different thing because your conversation is quite different when the person who owns the place is standing right there. So the shocker for us was meeting the seller and the buyer being so involved with each other in the process.
And it is kind of different in that sense as well, because when you're looking at the property and you move to this room, well, the seller follows you to that room, and then you go look at the kitchen, they follow you to the kitchen, and you can't really have a private conversation while you're standing there looking at it because your agent, their agent, and the seller is basically watching you look at the place.
And they are trying to sell it to you. So they're showing you every little nook and cranny, and they're showing you all the features that they think you'll be interested in. So that was a really different experience for us. So number 2 that shocked us, meeting the seller. Number 3, what shocked us about purchasing a property here in Madeira was once we had decided to purchase a property and the contract was signed and we had a date that we were actually meeting to finalize everything, 5 days prior, we paid all the taxes. So we had to go down to the city hall and pay the land transfer tax as well as the stamp tax. And we'll get into those amounts at the end of this video. But all that was paid before we actually owned the property. And it was a significant amount, close to 10,000 euros. So we found that really surprising that we were paying for all this to happen, all these taxes up front, before we actually owned the property. Typically back home, you would buy the property, you'd have it all, and then you would pay the taxes. So number 3 that shocked us is paying for the land transfer tax and the stamp tax up front.
Yeah, we were a little bit taken aback by that and a little bit nervous at first, but our lawyer said, to buy, it's okay. That's just the way things are done here. We were like, why are we paying these land transfer tax, these huge costs, before we've even signed the contract to buy it? It just didn't feel right to us. That's not the way we would do it in North America, but here, they said,
that's just how it's done.
Yeah. So we did. That shocked us. And number 4, what shocked us about buying our dream property here on Madeira was the day we actually went to sign the contract. It felt like we were getting married to our property. It felt like we were eloping in front of the justice of the peace. Back in North America, when you're buying a property, typically you meet with your agent and then you make your proposal or you make your offer through your agent, and your agent handles all the details throughout the course of it. You never actually meet the seller. You might meet with a lawyer at the end, but typically you're just sending them the money and it's held in escrow. Here, it feels like you're marrying your property. There's a number of things that you do before you actually have your marriage date, your sale date, but when it comes time to the actual date to sign the contract, we met at our lawyer's office. He escorted us to the notary's office. We waited there for our agent, the seller's agent, the seller. Our lawyer was there. Then we went into a big boardroom on the next level up, and there was 9 of us sitting around the table, all circulating around us. There was us, our lawyer, our agent. The seller was there. The seller's agent was there. The notary was there. The notary's assistant was there. And then there was the lady from the bank. She was waiting for her check. So if the seller, as in this case, had a portion of a mortgage left on the property, when it was signed and done, we handed our check over to the lady from the bank, who then took the check and left. She was getting her money up front. The agent gets paid last. So that was really different from us. We were sitting around a big boardroom table with 9 of us. The notary read the entire contract from start to end, and there was everything in that contract. The deed includes...
Well, the details that were shared were incredible, from our birth dates, the seller's birth dates, to the amount of money that the seller still owed on the mortgage. All that information was openly shared and discussed.
Yes, they had to, number 1 was they had to establish identity of all parties involved. So they went through our particulars, they went through the seller's particulars, the IDs were exchanged, and once the notary was satisfied, then we could get on to the process of actually buying the property and reading the contract. And they read everything from the first down payment, in our case, to the second down payment, and what was agreed upon, right through to everything that was included. They read the entire document, and then the notary, who spoke English in our case, translated the entire document in English for us as well. Even though our lawyer had already did that, the notary was nice enough to do that herself as well. So it was a big production. I felt like we were eloping without anybody knowing.
And number 5, the last thing that shocked us, was what we'll call the after party. So after the event that Doug just described, there was an after party where, as we were walking out, everyone was like, hey, let's go for drinks, let's get together. So we all walked down to a restaurant and sat outside and had appetizers and drinks and celebrated.
Our agent, our lawyer, the seller, us, we all sat around and had a glass of wine and some appetizers and acted like it was the after party after our marriage.
So it was very nice and we really enjoyed it, and it was very nice getting to know all the other people involved, but it was a little different.
A lot different.
A lot.
You could say it shocked us.
It shocked us.
As promised, we are going to break down to the euro cent exactly what we paid to settle in here in Vila Dos. I think you may be surprised by some of the things that were included and some of the things that weren't.
So as we said in our villa tour, we paid 290,000 euro for the villa. That included many items that were already here. As Doug mentioned in the previous video, Villa Dos was completely renovated on the inside, right down to the windows and the wiring. It was also renovated in terms of new flooring, painting, and fully furnished. So we bought Villa Dos and we asked for everything to be included. So for that price, we feel that we got a lot of items that were included, and we did purchase a few more things that we felt that we needed, but primarily everything was included in the price of $290. When we think of Villa Dos, we often think back to all the years that we traveled and we stayed in different timeshares and different places around the world. We love that feeling when you walk into somewhere and there's 8 plates, 8 matching cups, 1 set of cutlery. It's decorated but not overly so. And that is how we are thinking about Villa Dos. We do want to keep our options open in the future. We want it decorated somewhat like a timeshare, where when we're ready to leave, we can take our personal possessions, that being our clothing and our personal items, a couple family photos, and we're gone. Everything here belongs to Villa Dos. So as we move forward, we want to have options. We want to have the option to short-term rent our place. We want to have the option to long-term rent our place, or perhaps even to do a home exchange and go somewhere else for a significant amount of time and have someone stay here at Villa Dos. So we're not sure if we're gonna do any of those yet, or if we're just gonna lock the door and travel when we travel. But we wanted to have those options available to us.
In addition to our purchase price, there were also several other fees typical of a real estate transaction. Back in North America, we would have the land transfer tax that we would pay after we buy the property. This is what we were talking about earlier, one of the things that shocked us. There was a hefty fee that we paid ahead of time. I think normally it's paid the day of you purchase your property, but before you go through the whole wedding process, we paid ours 4 or 5 days in advance. And that included the transaction fee and the stamp fee. Those fees, at least one of them or both of them, can be higher or lower depending on what the status of your property was. We were asked specifically, was it for a rental or was it for our principal residence? This is our principal residence. We are living here on Madeira, so it was a little bit less than you would pay if it was a rental property. For our land transfer fee, it was 7,191 euros. And for our transaction tax or stamp fee, it was 2,120 euros.
Another cost that we had on the day of the transaction was the closing fee. That was a cost for registering the title with City Hall, and that cost was 250 euros.
Another fee on the day that we married our property was the notary fee. Here, the notary is a big deal. They have to authorize every kind of official transaction, and there's a fee involved with that. Our notary fee was 325 euros.
And after all was said and done, of course, we had to pay our lawyer. And our lawyer fee seemed quite high, although our lawyer, we feel, did a really good job on our behalf. We had a lot of things translated, we had a lot of meetings, he accompanied us to a lot of different things, even the after party.
And he invited me to go play golf with him.
So our lawyer fee came in at 2,650 euro.
So our total to purchase Villa Dos and get settled in was 302,536 euros. We feel that's money well spent for us. It frees us from our rent We feel that property prices are going up here. We feel that it's an investment for us, and we hope that it continues to be an investment going forward.
And it's so nice to have an actual place that we consider to be our base as we go out and explore the rest of Portugal and Europe in general. We hope that you enjoyed our 5 shockers buying a property here in Portugal, as well as an in-depth look at what it actually costs to purchase a property here in Portugal, the one we did, obviously. So if you enjoyed our videos, please like and subscribe to our channel, check back in, and
Track us down.